Welcome back, Rage Nation. Got myself Pete here.
That's not really exciting.
You got Senior Dixon.
I don't think that's appropriate.
And you got Monsieur Leopard.
Explorers deserved it. No.
Absolutely.
I was disgusted. I cannot believe they've done this.
Why is wacky? Why is that good? It's just nonsense.
I disagree on that. That's not possible.
We're getting the band back together. We're on a mission. Yeah.
Now we've got a whole new list of things to complain about.
Welcome back, Rage Nation. We are at it again. Got myself Pete here. And today we are with Moen Senior Dixon, of course, reigning from Puerto Rico. And then we have back on the show with his sweet nerd setup, Trevor, from my local meta. So how is it going, fellas?
I'm doing great. I don't know how
Trevor's exhausted.
I am a bit tired.
Oh man, It's funny. Us old guys playing 8 rounds of Guild Ball. Jeez, look at me. We've been talking about Guild Ball right before we recorded, but eight rounds of Malifaux in 3 days is pretty rough. That just it really grinds you down.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, Dixon, you were pretty tired even after 6 rounds of Malifaux when we played in Houston.
I was.
And then you had that awful travel experience that had to make it like 10 times worse.
That was the worst because I already don't have that much money, and it was like $200 extra.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh god, and it just set me back like an additional like 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason why we're talking about this, one, the Captain Con experience was really fun, so we're going to kind of break that down. The main tournament, because there was the content creators, which we'll talk about first, tournament, which is just a team tournament. And then we had a 5-round individual tournament, and we'll talk about that as well. We brought Trevor on because this was basically, you had your first local tournament a few weeks ago, and then this was just, hey, your first huge tournament that you were in, Trevor.
Yeah. I mean, the local tournament, somehow I actually ended up just playing all local players because of the randomization of everything. So it kind of felt like I was just playing everybody. I still took it a little bit more seriously, and it was a good first experience, I suppose. But this was my first real tournament, and especially traveling for it. It's definitely my first experience of this sort.
Well, cool. Before we get into all the tournament talk, though, make sure that you guys check us out. You can do that by going onto our Discord. Got the link in the show notes, so you can join all the talks that we have about Malifaux. You can also check us out on Twitter. We got YouTube videos coming out, usually at least once a month. I try to get 2 out there. The podcast also updates on YouTube. Sometimes I don't do it right away because you got to hit this button to actually make it go live. But I've been putting them on there, so if you like listening to crap while you work on YouTube, you can do it there. And then finally, if you want to support us directly, you can do that at patreon.com/RageQuitWire, where you can do it for as little as $1. And then finally, we have a fancy affiliation link with Weird, so if you buy stuff directly from Weird, especially all this cool stuff coming out, make sure that you use our affiliation link, and you can do that at Give Us Your Money, Please, Thank You -weird.com/RageQuitWire, and we get a little bit of a kickback on that. And, we love you all. I don't know what else to say about it. But anyways, let's get into Captain Con. So, Trevor, what were your expectations going into this being a brand new player? Were you just pretty much open-minded, just, hey, whatever, I'm just kind of going with the flow?
So, up until the week before the tournament, I was studying my cards. I was studying my lists. I was studying the games that we were going to be playing. And I kind of overwhelmed myself a little bit with that aspect of things. Mm-hmm. And so about a week before, I just stopped. I just stopped looking at everything. You know, we had played that tournament locally, and I just wasn't going to stress out about it anymore. I was like, I'm just going to go, and I'm going to play my game, and I'm going to see how everything goes. There's really nothing I'm going to do now up until the point that I play that's going to make anything any better. So I just kind of took a step back a little bit, and then just kind of went with the flow once I was there.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, and I think the main thing, like the week before you kind of go to a big event, I know I did the same thing, and because you were kind of asking me about it, I'm like, it's kind of what it is. I'm not getting any more games in. You know, there's nothing I can do that's going to help me for the weekend. It's like, you know, I've already got all the experience I'm going to get for it. You know, one little tech piece isn't going to make or break the tournament. So I just spent the week basically getting all my crap together, pre-packing, and that's basically all I did the week before. It was
Nice.
yeah, and travel was easy. We actually had pretty decent flights. We got in like 5 o'clock in the evening or whatever, so that was pretty sweet. We were able to hang out, and I think that was cool too because you actually got to meet a lot of the people there Thursday night, and that kind of also alleviates some of the stress of like meeting new people at a con.
Yep. Yeah, it was really great. I was able to meet Jesse and Maeve, and I believe Nick was there that night. So I met
Yeah,
a
we
few
went out to
people
the
just the
brewery
night
with Nick,
before.
and we got those sweet chili cheesesteak fries. Those things were sweet.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It ruined
we went
the
to a
food for the
local,
rest of
like-
the trip almost.
It did. It did. Local brewery that was really good. But yeah, it was great to meet those guys. It still made me a little nervous because you guys that night were just talking about different masters, and every time that happens, it makes me realize how much I don't know. But you know, there was some discussion about bands and things like that. But yeah, it was a good introduction to people before the tournament started.
That wasn't my intention as well, by the way. When we were like, I was trying to help with the vassal and stuff. I didn't want to like overwhelm you.
Dixon
but
was
if I
stressing
did,
him
I'm
out.
sorry.
You're freaking me out, man.
I know, like for example, when I played against UP with like the Nekima stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, I just in case somebody brings it. But you said that you didn't play any double masters.
Let's see here. So the entire time, I'm trying to think real quick. I think, nope. No, the entire time I played, I did not run into one double master. I played one double master, but nobody else played it against me.
What about you, Oh, you're not alone. That's what I was gonna mention real quick. What about you, Trevor? Did you play against double masters?
Nope, I did not run into a single double master. So
And you didn't run any double masters yourself?
no, not. I'm not at that point yet. But it did make me think about it in the future.
Okay. So, I mean, I'll go a little bit more into it, but like Landon got to play 2 rounds as double masters.
Yeah, Longton
And he-
played like double masters, I think maybe the
No,
entire
he
event.
did not.
Yeah, there was times where he... So I know one of the hot drops he was doing was Zoraida, and there was somebody else he's double mastered
Okay.
with.
According to Landon, he soloed Zoraida 1.
Well, he did. I just think there was 1 or 2 rounds where he brought a double master. I don't know for sure. Obviously, Landon would know better than me, so I'd take his word over mine.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't get to talk to Longton, but Landon said that Longton just soloed Zoraida 1, no double masters.
Okay, that's interesting.
And what he was abusing
was Angel Eyes.
That's exactly right. And I was like, this. I mean, I like to repeat this because when we did that review, I was like, why would they do this? She was already a great tech piece. Now she's just stupid good.
I mean, she was a fine tech piece, but now she's like just bananas. And you know, when you play against Angel Eyes, getting shot twice is bad enough, but when you get shot 4 times because of Zoraida, it feels really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting into just kind of the event. It was kind of nice. I mean, in the content creators, I think they had close to 12 teams if they didn't. So, I mean, I don't know if you had any expectations, Trevor, going into the team tournament. I think the funniest thing Trevor told me kind of after it is just I was trying not to, you know, be like the reason Pete lost every round. Like, I didn't want to be the reason why we lost.
I upheld my bargain, though. I did.
Yeah, because
I tied
yeah, good.
twice, and then I lost once. So
That's pretty good. Actually, that's really, really good.
Yeah, and if you ask what Pete did, Pete won once and lost twice.
yeah, I think I had like a 5-5, a 6-6, and then a 4-6 or something along those lines.
Well, and so because we'll talk about kind of the first round because we got the ringer team, And when you went into that one, I feel like that was kind of the biggest game for the weekend for you, Trevor, because I feel like you just didn't want to get blown out. So this kind of like got you into the scene to be like, okay, how am I going to kind of line up against everybody?
Yeah, yep. And the guy that I played against was he was a super nice guy. I think he was a local there. His name was Bobby Boats. But he just was a really nice opponent to play against. We communicated really well. And I feel like him and I were very similar levels. I think even in the actual tournament, I don't think we ended up too far. Yeah, he ended up 24th and I ended up 25th. So him and I were pretty much right at the same level of play. Yeah, it was really good to play against, and it was a good intro game to the tournament.
So it was kind of funny though, that round one, Dixon, because we decided going into it that basically Trevor didn't really, I don't know, you didn't need any raid the vaults kind of things. You were like, well, I'm kind of okay with Max, and it turns out maybe you should have practiced with Max, but we'll get into that in the next event. But so I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to drop Von Stuck into this. And Austin, who's a cool dude, he declared Euripides Dixon. So I'm sitting here with Von Stuck like, okay, well, how do I get marker removal? I'm like, I could just double master Molly. And so I did. And Austin, I think, hates double master, so I think that was also a negative experience for him.
So you lost knowledge him to death.
Oh, yeah.
And who was your second master?
Von Stuck 2.
Oh, okay.
So,
interesting.
Well, because it was funny, right? Because there was just not an ice pillar ever on the board more for like a couple activations.
Right.
And because, Von Stuck can teleport somebody and then make them do a general action to remove the ice pillar as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, whether it was Molly or Von Stuck, there were just no ice pillars. And I brought the Valedictorian as well, I believe. Yeah, I think I did. So the Valedictorian was hunting down the Botungan and the Damned. And yeah, it was a rough game for Austin.
That sucks. Oh, man. I mean, congratulations on you, but like the fact that he's just like, yeah, I got this in the bag, and all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, all these masters now.
Yeah, and that was the only round of both tournaments that I did double masters, just because I didn't feel like I needed them. But playing against Euripides 2, I was just like, I need ways to free people if they get thrown in ice pillars, and Molly's an easy way to do that.
Yeah, and I'm actually glad. I thought that you were gonna put Trevor into that, because like I played Trevor with Euripides, so you could see it as well. But I guess.
Well, we declared tables first, and then they picked the matchup.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, so
I remember
the
that was the
Euripides
one
player
game-
saw Von Stuck and then saw Anya, and I guess he wanted or one of them wanted whichever matchup. But
So he saw Molly and he wanted.
no, it was Von Stuck. He didn't see Molly because we don't declare second masters till after it's paired up.
Oh, so you declare Von Stuck and then you brought in Molly.
Mm-hmm.
What do you lose if she's the second master?
Nothing.
Oh my god, that's insane.
I think maybe one ability, but I don't even think that. Let me pull it up real quick because I think everything on her card's still live, even if she's not the leader.
Well, I mean, it worked out for you. I'm just like, okay, so that was the one game that you won?
So the only thing that you lose out on is less caress, so you don't get if you do the same action, you take whatever damage.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Which is fine, because I usually forget about it the whole game anyways. The one game I didn't forget about it, though, it came in clutch, so that was nice. But, yeah, we ended up winning against the Ringers. We both, I think, did you win? No, you got to draw this round, didn't you, Trevor?
Yes, I think that first one was a draw. I can't go back and look at it, I don't think, because they just did the rounds as
I think you got the draw,
teams,
and then I ended up winning by like 4 or 5 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that one was good. I mean, it was good kind of warm up against the Ringer. The next round that we did, though, we played against, I think, I played against Nathan. Is this the one that you played against Maeve? I can't remember if Maeve was paired up with Nathan or if it was somebody else.
Yep, I did play Maeve in the CCI tournament. I can't remember if that was the second or the third round.
That was the second one.
Yeah. Yep.
And I will tell you what, Dixon, it was really cool watching Nathan play Lucy 2 in Guild. I played Yan Lo 2 in Rezzers. And it was really cool watching him play it because he was just like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put out slow. I'm going to draw a card. I'm going to go ahead and do an action, draw a card. And the problem with that is you see Lucy 2 and you're just like, oh, good. He's just getting a bunch of gas to kill me with. This is going to be great.
And having spoke to Maeve the night before, I was just a little intimidated because she was there talking with you and Jesse and seemed like she had played for a while. And I ended up tying against her, which was a little boost of confidence for me that I was at least able to hold my own.
Yeah. And what did you play? I think you played Anya again, didn't you?
Yep. So almost most of the tournament, I played Anya and my botanist crew.
Were you playing Anya 1 or 2?
Anya 2. Yep.
And I think Maeve was just playing McMorning 2 pretty much close to the whole weekend. Or did Maeve play Von Stuck in that matchup?
I think she played in the CCI. She played Von Stuck against me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because I turned and said, hey, you know how to play against that guy.
Yep. Yep. I actually played quite a few Masters this tournament that I have played against because of you. So
No, that's good. That was actually the purpose of us throwing. Yeah, I wanted to play more games against you, but because I can in Vassal play whatever you haven't seen, something that I think you're gonna see. But yeah, that it helped though when you played against those people because you had seen it before, right?
Yes, yeah, it helped a lot. I mean, not for everything because people play Masters different ways, but
Right.
It did help.
I'm definitely a lot more aggressive than Maeve.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. The type of play that you have versus what Maeve has. Maeve is, I mean, she's actually kind of right in there with how I play. So we're kind of doing our own thing. If we have the opportunity to get into a scuffle, we'll do it. But otherwise, we're both trying to do our own thing.
I just laughed, Dixon, because I think the favorite thing that Trevor said about me was that, yeah, when Pete goes into a model, he's planning on killing it.
That's absolutely right.
I'm not just dirtling around.
You've got the cards in your hand. You've got the plan. And you're gonna take it out, most likely.
Yeah, I wonder if that happened and before or after we met, or not met Pete, but you know what I mean, like playing Malifaux. Because I remember the first time that I played against you, you were shocked that I had basically my crew right on top of you turn 1.
Yeah, you definitely play different, and actually that came up. We were talking with Maeve, and Maeve was talking about your play style where Maeve's like, Dixon will sometimes just say things on the podcast, and I'm like, oh, you're wrong, and then I play him, and I was like, oh, Dixon uses that very well, and it's kind of weird, but it works for him.
Yeah. And it's like the thing is like I'm not alone in this. I think like the first time that I played against Dimitri, and he played Guild because I thought that Guild was bad.
Yeah.
And then it gained respect for Guild because of Dimitri. And then I played Brandon like way back, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. It was like basically the same feeling. So it's like, yeah, people's play style makes certain things work for them.
Yeah, and the game. So you would be like, oh well, Trevor tied his game, so that means that hopefully Pete won his. No, I didn't. I made some mistakes. I actually made some mistakes probably in the list building against Lucius. I forgot that Lucius has the ability to ignore hard to kill. So I brought the Gokudo, which definitely would have been better if I brought the Komainu. Because Lucius just basically teleported, swung, killed the Gokudo, teleported, swung, killed the other Gokudo. And
Yep.
I lost out on a lot of AP efficiency early. He killed, I brought Kenshiro. Kenshiro died turn 2. The Incorporeal did not help him at defense 6.
Well, stat 7, bro.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Any stat 7. So
yeah, no, I don't disagree with you. I'm just like I'm surprised that we didn't get to play that matchup because you were playing Yan Lo.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't played ballots in a bit, so I was kind of like, I don't know which way I want to go with this, but anyways, I was just looking at it and I'm like, okay, well, I should have probably brought the Komainu and I probably should have dropped Kenshiro for something else. I still liked Yan Lo 2 in the matchup. Because I actually played it out pretty well, even though I was down a couple models early. I was able to kind of deny the middle, got some sweating bullets. I probably threw away Manos too early. I jumped him in there for sweating bullets point.
Okay.
And then at the end of, I think turn 4, he was able to finally catch up to Yan Lo in his deployment zone because Yan Lo just kind of zipped around the edge of the board. And Nathan was able to take out the Soul Porter, and Yan Lo's just sitting there with his move 2, and I'm just like, oh, now I'm just stuck here.
I was going to ask you guys this because I'm looking at your round 2, and like everybody got protected territory. Do you think that actually affected your point scoring? The fact that you couldn't like score that, or did you score it regardless?
Why wouldn't
Like,
why wouldn't I be able to score it?
Well, because you're trying to stop your opponent. So did you just didn't care about stopping them?
I mean, I don't feel like I had a hard time doing it.
Okay.
I mean, I just lost AP efficiency, so I mean, because by the end of the game, I think I just had Archie. I think it might have actually just been Archie and Yan Lo were the last 2 models I had.
Gotcha.
I threw Yin in to try and get my second point for sweating bullets, but Yin just blew up. So yeah, it was just one of those things where I think the matchup wasn't great because Lucy, I think, does pretty well in that matchup. And then I brought some of the wrong models, and then I didn't like some of my lines of play. And then I was because I was questioning. I think probably Yan Lo 1 is actually better against Lucius.
Yeah.
But I'm worried about 1 and 2, Lucius just going into Yan Lo super hard and killing him.
I mean, I wish that was the case, but as soon as you put in incorporeal and armor,
it helps, yeah.
Yeah, he's unkillable by
but that's what I'm
Lucius.
saying though. It's like if the Lucius player has gas and they go in super hard and get lucky, they could just blow up Yan Lo 1 turn 1.
Yeah, that's actually not
Lucius is
wrong.
super, like, I was super impressed with Lucius in this tournament. Like, I know the numbers don't quite support it right now, but I think the more people play him in this GG, they're going to realize him and Seamus, because they both kind of do similar things, are just terrors in this GG. They are just really good.
Well, okay. And what about you, Trevor? Do you feel that the schemes, because like literally the way that what I'm looking at, it says that in Trevor's game they picked the exact same schemes.
Yep. Almost most of my games, I had the exact same schemes chosen as my opponent.
That's interesting.
No way. That is so interesting.
Yep. I think
It is
I maybe
very
only had 2 rounds in which they were a little bit different, and that was mainly just because the master I played against was maybe a little bit more killy, and they had maybe either take prisoner or deathbeds or something along those lines.
Does that change your outlook for like future games? Do you want to like assume, okay, maybe they're gonna pick the exact same thing? Do I want to counter it, or do I have a way to stop it?
I was actually thinking about that last night. I really was, because I've been thinking about, who I'm going to kind of put Anya on the shelf just because I have played Anya over the past 5+ months.
Feel really good with her.
Yep.
And feel really good with her. And so I'm just going to try to switch it up and play some other masters. And I was thinking, well, since so many people are choosing the scheme marker sections of the pools, that maybe it would be an advantage to choose the other ones if I had a master that had a lot more damage base.
Yeah. I mean, the 2 that I can recommend you if you just want to go ham on combat are the obvious one, McCabe, and the other one being Ivan. Ivan is significantly easier to learn, in my opinion. But
I think if you like Cooper, he could also do the same thing, either version of him.
But he's significantly harder, and you don't see gains with Cooper until
that's kind of,
you're way better at the game.
Well, I think that's one of the interesting conversations we had at Captain Con with a bunch of people. And I think that was cool, Trevor, that you got to talk to. So even some of the really good Explorer players, because I heard you having conversations like, okay, well, I'm enjoying Anya 1 or Anya 2, whatever. But, what do you think about some of these other keywords? What are some of the better ones? And you kind of got into a lot of those conversations at the tournament.
It was really great to kind of talk about that with other people who play Explorers, because right now in our local meta, we don't have a whole lot.
Like a real life Discord,
so-
you were just asking all the Explorer players.
Yeah, essentially, right. Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up losing that one because Pete sucks apparently. So Nathan's a really good player. It was really cool to see him pilot Lucius 2. Like it was like, because Dixon, you'd be interested in it. He brought Lucius 2 obviously with the scribe. He brought one false witness because Ensnare was in the pool and he got it, even though I avoided it once. I couldn't avoid it twice.
Yeah, it's really hard.
It is. And so he brought a false witness, brought, I think, one lawyer, brought Klaus, brought whatever his henchman is. I can't remember what the henchman's name is. It's Alan Reed.
Klaus is the
Alan
henchman.
Reed.
Oh, Alan Reed. Got
Yep.
it.
Alan Reed was pretty clutch in a couple situations with diversion and just really hard to deal. Like, it's funny, right? Because I think Alan Reed's actually harder to kill than Agent 47 is.
That's absolutely true. That is 100%. It specifically in Guild. Did he happen to have the lead line code on him? Because that makes it even more
I think
disgusting.
he did on somebody. I can't remember who, though, because I can't remember the list off the top of my head. And then he had a changeling in there being annoying because changelings are good. And
yes.
Yeah, it was
Well, the
it was a good
changeling
list.
is a great. The changeling is a great partner for Klaus. I'm assuming that he just like kept jumping into Klaus and running away or stuff.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
it was cool because it was like all in keyword. Like he really didn't bring anything out of keyword, and it was very efficient.
Okay, I am very impressed about that last part because
basically
have, like, a pick outside of keyword.
Well, you have to remember that. I mean, we're playing stuff the ballots, so it's a lot of interacting, and then the pool was very positional and interacting based. So it really, besides just getting AP off the board, it really wasn't efficient to kill stuff if you're going to score your VP. So basically, he just schemed and ran all his schemes with his crew. And then, he did bring one thing out of keyword. He actually brought a watcher.
Okay.
I think that's one of the reasons why, even with Anya 2, who is just, not an extremely strong master, but her AP efficiency, being able to order her own syndicate to do additional actions, exert control, push them, and then have them interact and things like that. I think that's why I was still decently successful with Anya 2, even into tougher masters.
Once you get better at countering as well, Anya 2 is kind of really interesting because, you can shut off somebody's scoring schemes just by moving her next to it. So, like, you're never going to score Ensnare near Anya 2. Because she just has that 6-inch aura of your schemes don't count for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm still surprised that they didn't allow Anya to become basically because like you look at her design and it's the exact same as Lucius 1. Like the design is well, not exactly. I should say it's incredibly similar, right? But Lucius is allowed to obey minions, even if there are other keywords, right? You look at Anya, and that's like the only thing that she's missing. So imagine if Anya could do that to Botanist.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Yes, that would be a very different. That would be a very different deal.
That'd probably up her power a little bit.
Absolutely.
It would.
Oh, absolutely. So I don't think they would break her, but definitely that would be like one of the things that I would change. First, change Botanist, and second, make it so that they have more options with minions, because I think Botanists are propping up that faction significantly. I don't know
I'm
if
good
you guys
with it. They did a lot of work for me. They did a lot of work for me this tournament.
Dude, they're insane. Like, if you look, they just went down to finally second place after 2 years of being first place.
Nice.
So something happened this last month, Captain Con, and now Arcanist is at the top.
I have an unpack with Anya 2 where I get to grow them first turn.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what you want to do.
That is exactly what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and then our last round of the team tournament, we ended up getting. So we were 1-1 at that point, and we ended up getting Jesse and Brandon. So Jesse from Boring Conversation and Brandon from Danger Planet. And you got to play against Brandon from Danger Planet, and I got to play against Jesse. Finally, got to have some fun against Jesse. Unfortunately, I had to play against Story, so that was something, and I declared Von Stuck again because I was into Raid the Vaults, and that's my Raid the Vault pick.
Yeah. and I haven't played story in forever. So like, you haven't seen it in forever.
No,
like, when was the last time we played?
I actually play story quite a bit. I'll get it against like Lance, and Jim plays it sometimes on Vassal. So I've got, and actually I played against why can't I remember his name? Some of our New Zealand buddies there.
Okay,
Begins with a B. Brody. Thank you.
Brody.
Yeah, I played against Brody, and he actually played story. So I've actually had some decent experience with it.
Okay, so then do you think it was just like a couple of mistakes here and there, or the keyword is just that good?
I think it was a fine game. The board was probably in Story's favor just because they're a little more. I think they can scoot around the board a little better than Von Stuck. I took Power Ritual and Take Prisoner, which were fine. The thing that was kind of that it came down to, and it's just kind of what it was, is that it came down to turn 5. Like we were tied 5-5 going into turn 5. And if you look at the score, I lost 7-5. So you'd be like, Pete, what went wrong in turn 5? And I would tell you that every effing thing went wrong in turn 5. And I almost flipped the table because it was so bad.
Oh man.
So I actually had, and dude, I had, I think like 12 fate tokens on my Dead Rider. Like I was just kind of being efficient. I was scoring my points. I was doing pretty good things. And I was on the back marker with the Dead Rider. And I needed to, at some point, move some stuff off the objective. But then I also needed to go into the corner and drop a scheme marker and remove his scheme marker. So I had the cards in play. I could have done it. But freaking Raijin decided to walk on over like a jerk. And I was like, cool, I got to pass this movement, whatever duel. Black Joker, that son of a gun. So the entire turn, I cannot use any of my fate tokens, and I don't have anything to remove conditions near him because I wasn't anywhere near Von Stuck. And I was just like, that's probably the game, but I'm going to try to kind of grind out a tie. So then there was a world where Archie could have jumped in and either killed or negated, like scoring a point for Jesse. But I did the greedy play because I still saw a line to win. So I did a play where I could jump in and bulldoze a model where I could score Archie on the strategy, and that would deny him a point. But I just didn't have the card, like a high enough card. Like I had an okay card, but Jesse flipped like higher than that card. I think I had like a 10 of masks or something, and Jesse flipped like a 13 or something. And I was just like, I shouldn't have been greedy there. I should have just leapt and then done this twice. And here I am. So that was another bad thing. And then the last thing that was bad to happen is stupid Snorlax it wasn't even Snorlax. It was Lin Lee came over. She like walk charged and put slow on Von Stuck. And I had a line of play with Von Stuck where I could have moved some of his models off the objectives and moved mine in there. So there was a lot of plays I could have had, but there was a series of bad luck that just caused me to not be able to score any of my points on the last turn.
The Black Joker definitely sucks. Like there's no
that I almost flipped the table. Jesse gave me a shot glass because he's like, Pete had some bad luck last round. Here's a shot glass.
Yeah, dude, for real. Like I would have lost my shit too. Because it's like, come on, dude.
It was close. It was close. That was the one thing that couldn't happen. And it was funny because right before I flipped it, I'm like, if this is Black Joker, this game's probably done. And it was. I was like, okay, cool, great. Trevor's over here playing better than Pete. That's great.
Dude, this is oh man. But hey,
because Trevor, in this team tournament though, Trevor did a great job. Like if I would have won, games, which it was kind of funny because Trevor was talking to his wife at the end of the night, and he ended up being like, "Oh yeah, I finished pretty good. Pete didn't do so great," and Trevor's like, "But to be fair, he played the better players."
Yeah, he played the players with the higher difficulty level.
I don't know, but your last game, Brandon's pretty similar to
yes,
to Jesse.
he's a good player, and he was also really Danger Planet Brandon. He was great to play against. He's got a really good personality. He's a really nice guy.
Okay.
And I played Anya too. Again, my botanist list. And I played her against Misaki with him, and I think I ended up 4-6 on that game.
4-6.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, I was gonna ask you because like the information here seems weird. It says 6-5, and you guys don't have the same schemes like you were mentioning. So I was gonna ask you about that. Is any
Or
of this
it,
right?
it might have been that, honestly.
Dude, it was a bit ago, and you guys are burnt that crap out. Like
Right.
I feel you because that was an entire
Yes.
weekend of getting,
Yep.
you know.
I
into Shark
remember
Tank.
it was really, really close.
Right.
And Brandon at the end of the game said, you've only been playing for 10 months. You did very well. I would not have expected that you've only been playing for 10 months. So
Yeah.
that was a big confidence booster. The next day is a different story altogether, but I was feeling really good by the end of the content creator tournament. So it was a good first day for me. It was still definitely my first experience, concentrating that hard for 3 games straight, very short breaks in between. So I was definitely still a little mentally drained by the end of the day, but I was feeling pretty good by the end of it.
Yeah, that's the main reason why, again, I know that I mentioned it pretty much every podcast, but muscle memory lowers all of that drain to a manageable level if you actually, build it up.
Yep, which is why I continued to play my same list with Anya, because it is muscle memory for me at this point.
Yep. Yeah, decision making, that's when the interesting things happen in this game. What was that?
Yep.
I said I actually had a different strategy. My whole strategy in the content creators was to not play my best master that much. Because I didn't, because the content creator's fine, but I would rather do better in the individual tournament. So I was like, I'm not dropping Molly because I want to keep my best master kind of like the way I play it, kind of out of sight, out of mind type thing.
Look at this guy sandbagging.
Well, I mean, I'm decent with Von Stuck and Jan Lo. Like I can win with those masters. So, and you can see it. I only lost by 2 in the 2 games I lost. But
yeah, no, I know that you're decent, but your Molly was getting to the point that I was like, if Pete turns into a cackle, I'm gonna be very pissed.
Yeah, and that's the thing though. Like I didn't want to, because like I said, the other tournament was more important to me. I was just like, I'm just gonna put my best master out on the actual tournament. And I played Molly in the other one, the double master game round 1, but even then, I mean, she was just like removing markers, so I wasn't like giving away anything there.
Look at this guy.
In hindsight, I probably should have played Maxine at least once or twice during that tournament just to get some reps in, because it had been a while since I played her. So yeah, in hindsight, maybe I should have, but I still don't regret it, because it did give me a little bit of confidence boost, and kind of showed me as well that even in a tournament setting, everybody was very cordial. I mean, I had a really good experience with everybody that I played.
That's good. I mean, that actually should be a testament of how good our community is. Like, I never got any of that in some of the other game systems. 40K is a crapshoot. It completely is based on the group of players that you have at your local. And Infinity, aside from my friend Wilson, I was not having fun in any of the communities, so it was really hard.
Yeah, so I mean, Landon and Longton ended up winning the event with Guild and Neverborn. Danger Planet ended up with Sam and Doug. They ended up getting second with Bayou and Rezzers. And then Jesse and Brandon in Dangerous Conversation ended up getting third with 10 Thunders and Rezzers. So it was fun. It was definitely fun. It was cool. The team tournament's always fun. So that's like the best way to kind of warm up to the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the games, because I'm going through the statistics of like if anything changed because of Captain Con, and then I'm looking at the Malifaux content creator, and I mean all the factions were there.
Yeah, it was a good mix.
Yeah, I'm still shocked that like the worst faction being Guild is a thing right now doing the statistics when they were like clearly doing well in Captain Con. So,
Yeah,
I don't know.
But if you look at the breakdown of factions in Booty and Plunder, there were so many rezzers in that tournament.
A lot. Yes. Yeah. Yep.
I think there were like 8 different rezzer players.
Oh man. See now, yes, there are 8 different players playing rezzers. 5 explorers, 5 guilds.
Explorer's getting some love in this tournament. I liked it.
Yeah, only 3 outcasts. I'm always surprised.
I
by
think
that. 3
Outcasts, now that I've seen it, right? Because now we've had GG4 for a bit, and I've been to a couple of tournaments. I can see Outcast struggling this GG. There's a couple of like pools that if I was, because I played Outcast for a while, right? So I'm sitting here like, I mean, do you play anything besides Terra? Like, I think you just got to play Terra if you want to be competitive in a big, like, if you're in tryhard mode. I'm just like, I think I just play Terra, honestly.
Well, Leviticus is 72% with the second highest play rate at 58 games, 72%, and then Terra won 55% win rate with 66 games. So like,
I think that's good for her because I think she's tough to play though.
Yeah, so like the fact that Leviticus is doing well, that means that there is a beater schemer in that particular area that is actually kicking ass.
Yeah.
Or maybe it is Leviticus 1 just by shooting people off the table.
Yeah.
I think one of my other advantages of playing with Anya too is just not many people have seen her on the board. And so towards the end of the turn of each turn, when I then activate her, exert control, push somebody, was able to interact and just get that last little bit of end of turn activation stuff, they're like, oh wait, shoot, I didn't realize that I needed to worry about that guy.
Yes.
Because she can do that to people that are 8 inches or 10 inches away.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
Also, not having 6 cards is always sucky too.
Yeah.
So
that's how you don't make friends.
One of the things that I like to point out is like Anya 2 is actually one of the top 10 better masters in Explorers. So in real life, the fact that somebody hasn't seen it kind of worries me because she is like.
Well, I think
she's
a lot of people were like,
win rate.
Anya wasn't that bad on the table. I was kind of like pretty cool with what I saw.
So she's making her rounds in Vassal because like she's actually the second highest played master, 32 games, with like the number 1 being English Ivan 1.
People love Ivan.
Yeah, so like literally you see the number. Let me just send this guy to you. But yeah, basically she's not a dark horse. She is kicking ass. Yeah, but the problem
last
is
GG she was. Last GG nobody played her.
Well, I don't.
So
I
agree.
think she was good last GG.
Yeah,
so that was kind of the problem.
No, but I agree with that sentiment too because like that's the information that I just sent you guys is just for this GG.
I mean, it's kind of a
she's
small
doing great in
sample
this
size
GG.
though. There's only like 32 games there.
It is always going to be a small sample size, Pete. Don't forget about that.
Yeah.
Molly only has like 40 games.
I mean,
and I'm pretty sure like 12 of those is you.
I mean, you're not wrong. I don't know what the date you chose for this is either.
It's from November to now.
Okay.
From GG4 to now.
So getting into round 1, this was kind of it was standard plant explosives. So this is like where I was just, I'm going to unleash all the Molly, right? Because plant explosive, I think she's really good into. So the funny thing is I played against Austin, who was the guy that I double mastered into the day before. And I just look at Austin and I'm like, I'm sorry about yesterday. Please don't hate me. I'm sure he was like, this effing guy.
Tonight, you.
So the funny thing, though, is, and I didn't decide this round 1. I kind of was like feeling how the tournament was going to go. And, maybe I'll change things according to that.
Right.
But I ended up playing the same list the whole tournament. And like I said, I didn't decide that like round 1, I'm just going to drop it. I was like, okay, I'm just going to start off with one of my stronger lists. It's called my Molly fighting list or the fighting Mollies or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I'll pull up this list.
I would have gone with the moshing Molly.
How about flogging? How about flogging Molly?
Sure, let's go with that.
So basically, the list is just Molly with Whisper, Molly 1. Then of course you have your totem with the necrotic machine. I bring 2 Crueligans, Archie, because you're gonna Archie. The Dead Rider. Then you bring the Valedictorian, and I bring Sloth. So the whole premise of this list is basically just to gain activation control. You do that by double activating the Crueligans. So you just go, hey. So basically, your first like 6 activations don't even matter. Like you're literally not doing anything besides pitching cards to set up Molly. So it's Krooligan, Necrotic Machine, Sloth to hand out fast. Then you activate Molly. And then after Molly, you say, hey, Krooligan's activate again. And then you go, cool, Krooligan's activate again. They, focus and they drop scheme markers. And by the time you've done 7 or 8 activations, your opponent's like almost done. And then by turn 1, you're done with all your activations. And I probably still have Archie, a fast rider, and a fast valedictorian with a bunch of focus out there. So it's just, if you don't know what to do against it, it's just can be really problematic. And
yeah, I know what to do against it, and I still rely on a little bit of luck.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even against the harder games I played, it was still just really solid and good because it's tanky. It can fight. The Krooligans hop in and have permits to do whatever they want. And I mean, against Austin, I did feel bad because Austin got a little taste of it the day before, and it was kind of like, oh, this guy's doing this again. But he ended up losing the Damned turn 1. Actually, no, the Damned was turn 2. I almost killed a Botungan turn 1 if it didn't have hard to kill, but then I just killed it first activation with Archie. Because it was just kind of ridiculous, right? Because I have this fast rider, so I just rode over to Archie, and then I attacked Archie to drag him up the board like 6 to 8 inches. And then I have a leap on top of that. So, it's one of those things where if I want to fight and kill something, I have the mobility with that list to do it.
But Pete, you're doing 3 damage to Archie.
Well, fading's a hell of a drug.
I know. A lot of people forget about that ability.
And I think I pitched an 11 to heal back up to full.
That's just silly.
It felt good.
Did you get to do double Krooligan shenanigans? Where like you jump on somebody and they can't defend themselves and you just destroy them?
Yeah, I used a Krooligan I think I stole a Soul Stone in that, and then I used a Krooligan to finish off Thune, I think. And then the Krooligans were just dropping Plant Explosive. There was one time, I think, one of my Krooligans had like 3 Plant Explosive tokens on it.
Did you just pick them up and keep running away?
I picked him up, right? So that's the thing. That's why Molly's so good, because you kind of just hold those actions. And then it's like, all right, and you'll hear this from Molly players all the time. It's like, okay, you got anything left to activate? And they'll be like, nope. It's like, cool, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to pick up your marker if you didn't put somebody next to it to guard it. And even if you do, it's still hard to do it, right? Because, I have the Dead Rider and I have the Valedictorian, so I can just shove you off your marker.
Yes.
So unless you're playing Guild or something.
And this is funny because, like, you think that, you have 2 incredibly expensive models that are not keyword related. So by your side, it's not going to be a problem, right? Wrong.
Yeah,
wrong.
I mean, because Archie did die like turn 4, I think, but it cost him a lot because he kept failing terror tests with Euripides against Archie. So Austin had to cheat in like a 12, and then he had to use the old ways. So then he couldn't cheat because he used the old ways, and then he was flipping poorly on the damage. So it took like an activation and a half for Euripides to kill Archie.
That is, dude.
And by that time, the Krooligan teleported, killed the snake, and then stole the Plant Explosive tokens.
Another thing that I noticed, though, this is the last thing because I want to hear Trevor's side too. He was using Euripides 2.
Yeah.
And Euripides 2 against Molly, in my opinion, is not that great because you need that low 3. You need that min 3 to actually stack. Because 2 attacks is 6 damage instead of 4.
Yeah.
And that actually kind of like matters.
Yeah, I would say that he did hit the 2, specifically on Archie, like a handful of times, and that just hurt him. Because Archie was able to just do stuff and kind of get his points, and yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what about you? How did you feel, Trevor?
So my first round, I was definitely a little groggy because just the next day, and I was like, okay, we got another 3 games in a row. So I played Shane with Von Schill. And I think I played against Von Schill before. This was another game in which we both kind of did our own things. We had some encounters in which we went up against each other, like and tried to do damage to one another. I think I actually did end up killing a model with my emissary, but essentially my group that I've got with my botanists, I basically have my emissary and my operative go off on their own and just generate threat and honestly just kind of be annoying. And I kind of played that way the whole tournament, where I would send them off elsewhere and people would kind of throw models at them, and I was literally just trying to get people to waste AP trying to go against them, because the brunt of what I was doing with Anya, Corvus, the botanists, Winston, and Sovereign was then skirting around the other side of the board, trying to just avoid confrontation and getting my schemes and my strats. And with the botanists, as I could grow them first turn, I would then get them out there, just get them over the line, and have them drop their explosive right underneath them, hopefully in severe terrain, so that they could just sit and be tanks, heal one each turn, and just sit on top of those markers. Yep.
Yeah,
Do you not move Sovereign? Like, you don't have ways to force Sovereign over and over again to, like, move into place?
So I do have, and I actually utilized that more this tournament than I have in the past, just as long as they were close enough. But Sovereign is very squishy, and they see that defense 4 and they go after it. So I balance that between proccing that and then moving Sovereign away. I use Sovereign a lot for additional movement, scheming, fly with me. And same thing with Winston. Dirigible ride is extra movement.
Oh, yeah.
Interacting, putting out distracted if he's within a distance of people. And then this tournament, I used Corvus, and I haven't been a huge Corvus fan in the past, but he did a lot of work for me this tournament, in really just kind of stopping people up, moving them around a little bit, and dropping additional scheme markers with Drought Secrets.
Yeah, no, it shocks, because, like, I've talked about this before, but, like, I play Corvus, and to me, he is key to a lot of strategies that I play. So, like, I'm happy that you're also getting some similar, but, like, man, a lot of people hate on him. He has a lot of, like not, what do you call it? Not fans. I don't want to say haters again, but, like, you know what I mean? They don't like him.
I think he's better in this gaining grounds for sure.
Yep.
Well,
I really didn't realize how much I enjoyed his play until I just got to have him on the board this whole, past weekend. So.
Okay, I was gonna say, it's like, is there like a master that you guys felt very strong into in the entire weekend, just in general?
I played against, and we can talk about it in a little bit.
Yeah. Look, if you want to just go to the next round, then I'll understand.
Because
but, like,
round 3 actually is the game that I felt pretty good into, but we'll get into that. How'd that game finish out for you? I know I got the win against Euripides, but how'd yours end up working out round 1?
That one I lost by 2 points. It was 6-4, and I'm pretty sure I was happy because I got my strat the whole time. I just wasn't able to quite get the other stuff, and I think we did end turn 4. That was another thing that happened to me a lot, was most of my games we did not get to turn 5. I would say at least 3 out of the 5 we did not get to turn 5.
Interesting.
And I don't know if that was just because I was matched up with other people that had,
Yeah, you're kind of in that newer bracket, so I think that might have had something to do with it too.
So people didn't play. You were not forced to play clocks?
No, you were on clocks, but that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
So they had a rule, Dixon, so if you clocked, obviously, but there was also a rule that if you had a combined less than, was it 8 minutes or 10 minutes together?
Less than 10 minutes.
You couldn't start another round.
Oh.
So most of the time I had enough time left on my clock to at least get a couple of activations in turn 5, but we had a combined less than 10, so we stopped it at turn 4.
Yeah.
Dang, that sucks.
I did not have any problems, and I did not clock, and neither did my opponents. And actually, one of my opponents did, but it was like right at the end, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, you're pretty good at moving the clock forward, regardless of.
I play super fast.
I play super fast in the first 2 to 3 rounds, and then after that, I slow down to a crawl because that's when I try to make it count.
Yeah, so, but I think that was good though, because I feel like Trevor, that gave you some confidence of like, cool, I'm kind of hanging around, I'm competitive.
Yep. Yes, yeah. It was like, lost my first game, but I was still close. I didn't get, completely whomped as far as points go. And I was like, well, this is my first game of the tournament. I was feeling still pretty good at this point.
Yep. And then round 2, we ended up having corner raid the vaults. And this is kind of where I had kind of my moment of like, and it was against Brandon from Danger Planet. So, Brandon's a pretty good player. It's raid the vaults, so I'm like 80% positive he's just slamming Seamus down. And I think as a rezzer player, that's probably the correct call for raid the vaults, just because Seamus is so good. Corner, he's scooting around the board a bunch. And there was a ton of impassable terrain. There were so many buildings on this board where I'm just like, yeah, this is going to be a Seamus game. But me being a rezzer player, I was thinking about it, and I'm like, if I slam Seamus versus Seamus, I think I just play worse than him, and I probably lose this game just because he has more reps and knows the keyword better. So I was just like, I know what? I'm going to slam down my best list with my best master, and it's corner, so I think I have, enough mobility to compete there. And I just decided to slam Molly 1 down with that same list. I was like, I'm going to play my best list, best master, and see if I can win the day. So
I would say that the way that you play and the list that you play makes it so that Seamus is not the best choice.
Yeah, I mean, he has some options to kill stuff. Like, he can take down a Kruligan. Then the Necrotic Machine, if you put it out there, he can definitely take care of. So it's just one of those things where you just have to kind of roll the dice. And I was just like, we'll see how it lands. So, I mean, I ended up taking Power Ritual and Protected Territory. And then Brandon ended up taking Outflank and Protected Territory. So this one was kind of interesting because I kind of took most of my crew away from Seamus because he kind of hinted at Seamus, because I have so many activation controls that I'm just like able to see kind of where they're going. But he ended up using most of his AP to get back over to where my crew was mostly. So he was on the right flank and I was on the left. But once he saw me go so hard to the left, he brought Seamus back over. And I got the initiative early on turn 2. And I was like, well, Archie's just dead here. Like, I can't prevent Seamus from killing him. Like, if he has the cards, he has the cards. And, he doesn't care about Archie's crap and he ignores hard to wound. So I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to throw Archie right in his face. I'm going to try to do some damage here and put a little pressure on Seamus. So I did just that. I ended up putting like 5 or 6 damage on Seamus. And Archie did die, but I felt like in this game, it was better for Archie to die than the Kruligans. I feel like keeping the longer I think I kept the Kruligans alive in this game, I think the better it was for me.
Okay.
And I feel like if I could keep the Val and the Dead Rider moving around with Sloth, I think I could score enough AP or VP to kind of win the game. So, and there was a clutch moment where I threw the Val over to try and get on the back objective, the back strat for raid, because, you scored 2 points off that. And I missed my mask on my by your side or on your heels trigger. So I think when I did that, Brandon in his head was like, okay, I don't have to worry about this back objective. But then later on the turn, I gave fast to the Dead Rider. And I just screamed down the board edge. And then I charged the Valedictorian and dragged her into the raid marker on the back. And I was able to score it. So, that's why I like the Dead Rider in a lot of these pools. Just because when things don't quite happen where you need to score, the Dead Rider can really clean it up for you.
I mean, it's just a casual 27 inches.
Yeah, right. Well, people don't really... And Brandon had to check my card because he thought that I pushed the target and then the rider goes to base. I'm like, no, the rider pushes and drags that person along with him.
I feel you, Brandon. I've had that exact same reaction. We're like,
that's not how that... He's like, that's not how that works. And
let me see that.
Brandon was also a little hungover because they went out drinking Friday night instead of Saturday night. So that was kind of funny. He actually was like, at the beginning of the game, he's like, so I'm a little hungover. Do you want to just call this a draw or what? I was like, well, I'd like to play it out.
Yeah, let's just do the thing.
So that was a key point, and then the last point that kind of won the day for me was I decided early on to keep the Necrotic Machine just on my back marker. right?
Okay.
So I was just I'm like, this is going to be my denial late game. He's got to kill it. Like, he's got to put 8. Like, Seamus has to come over here and kill this necrotic machine. Nobody else on this board can deal with the necrotic machine. There was a bunch of AP dorks in his list. The only scary threat, though, was Seamus. That was the only thing. Like,
I mean,
the other stuff was going to scheme, but he was the only thing that's going to kill. So I was like, I'm literally going to sit the necrotic machine on here. He's armor 2, so if he mins for some reason, he still doesn't kill it. So Seamus has to, and that took a lot of pressure off my crew, because I was just like, if he doesn't come over and get this back marker, he's not going to score it. And he ended up black jokering the damage on I think it was turn 5. He was going to come in and get that objective, but he black jokered the damage on the necrotic machine. And I was like, well, that's probably game, because, I mean, what are you going to do?
But Pete, doesn't he have Whisper on Seamus to avoid black jokering?
Yeah, so I forget what Brandon said the situation was. It was something like, when he whispered, he knew that to score the objective, he had to kill the necrotic, and he had to bet that I didn't have a high enough card to defend myself to get it to that point of being a negative.
Oh,
but I did.
That sucks. Yeah. Like, because he planned it ahead. All right. Well, what about you, Trevor? Because, like, I'm looking over here, and it looks like you played Doug.
So
and Doug played
this is where Trevor thought that he wasn't good enough to play the game.
Yeah, this is where things took a turn for the worse for me. This is the 5th game in the weekend. I was feeling good.
Trevor's like overconfident. He's like, yeah, I'm doing it, guys.
Well, I had met Doug. We had talked a little bit, and I knew that Doug, he runs the Houston GT and everything, and I kind of knew that too. So I was honestly already a little apprehensive going into the match. And then he put down Dreamer, which I've never played, and then he also banned Apex, and I had planned to kind of bring in Model 9. And so I knew that there was some terrifying in there, so I brought in Kia. So here's my list for Maxine for this. Maxine, Orville, Calypso Beeb, the 2 Machinists, the Intrepid, Alpinist, and Kia. I brought the Alpinist because there was so much big terrain on this map. It was big terrain. So I just thought I could maybe get some people to walk through it. And then my plan was just to basically have double Machinist and Intrepid just be a rock there and go into areas. But I just wasn't sure what to expect with Dreamer because I had never played it before. And things went okay. First turn, things were okay. We just did our deployment stuff, and we went out and got our models kind of into position. I was still a little further back on the board than I would like to because this was corner deployment, I'm pretty sure. And then what ended up happening turn 2 was towards the end of turn 2, I was getting a little nervous. I had Orville set up to get raid on one marker towards the middle of the board, but I was a little nervous because Orville is squishy and somebody could either take him out or walk over there and deny it. So he had a couple of summons that were right over by another marker where I had Calypso, and the other one was a little too far away. So I made a huge mistake here, and I unpacked Beeb out of Calypso to get the point. I ejected him out, and what I should have realized was that I was being stopped up there, and I didn't really realize this until way later, even after the game. But what I should have done is just kept Calypso and Beeb running to the other side of the map so I could start scoring my information overload, my protected territory, and just scheme over on the other side of the map because it was pretty open. We were all pretty blocked up in the middle. And I just got so in my head about making sure that I got the strat that I left my schemes behind. And very quickly, he killed off Beeb. Calypso was then useless. I mean, pretty much. And I really didn't have an answer for summons. And basically by turn 3, I'm hot. I'm sweaty. I'm in my head. I'm angry.
Yeah, no.
And I just
completely
started making
understand.
poor decisions at that point. I was shooting stuff that didn't matter with Maxine. I got some stuff to go off, and I killed some stuff with Maxine, but I just didn't. I couldn't function. I couldn't function after that.
I mean, it doesn't help. Like, there's a couple of things that you needed to learn before the matchup. For example, one of the things that I don't know if it happened in your game or you didn't notice it, but Dreamer is incredibly good at killing things with armor. Like, incredibly good. Did that ever come up?
Not exactly. I mean, it wasn't really. I even killed something with Kia, but I think my biggest thing was I got stopped up. Again, there was big terrain here. I got stopped up right in the middle, and I couldn't get any further than that. I just couldn't get my models any further than that.
I call that setting the line of scrimmage. Like, he set the line of scrimmage, and basically you did not, push through.
Yeah, there's sometimes with that
the
where when you realize that you're fighting somewhere where you don't want to be, a lot of times that's when you got to use your AP or tricks to get out of there. Because people like Doug and people like Dixon will just kind of like bog you up in an area and bottleneck you. And that's where you got to be like, okay, I just got to disengage and like get the heck out of here. Because if you stay in that fight, especially against a summoner like Dreamer, then he's just summoning more crap on top of you to keep you there.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be high quality stuff. Yeah. He'll just keep dropping bodies into you.
It was still new to me that people could have so many summons, and regardless of whether or not they counted for schemes, them being able to activate the turn that they're summoned, because I use a lot of drudges with Anya, who then can't do anything till the next turn.
Wait, these can actually do things.
And then he started doing stuff, and I was like, hey, what? Oh, okay, that's how a normal summon works. That's not mindless or whatever.
Right.
So I just got really stopped up, and then I could just see that things were not going well, and so I kind of mentally gave up. I really did.
So
and again, that will happen to you. Yeah. But like, don't worry. Like, once you learn the matchup,
Dixon, I will tell you. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those the adventures of like Tintin memes where the captain's sitting there and he's like, oh man, this is a hell of a day. And then Tintin's like, but Captain, it's only round 2. And that's how I felt with Trevor. Is he looked so like he had the hands, like the face and the hands, and he was like, he just told Doug, he's like, I need to go somewhere.
I went to the bar in the hotel around the corner, and I just sat by myself and pounded a Guinness before my next round.
Well, Doug bought you a beer, and he's like, I don't know where Trevor is. I was like, he'll be around. It's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you got slammed in that round. I ended up winning by a point, 7-6, but it's good to get the beat up round hopefully out of the way. Hopefully you didn't have too many more of those in the tournament.
No, I mean, and it takes a lot really for me to get worked up. I mean, you've played me a lot, Pete. There's only been, maybe you could count on one hand the number of times that I really get worked up, but that was definitely one for me that I did. So I took that 15 minutes to decompress and just say, you know what?
That one's gone.
There's really good players at this tournament. That one's gone. Just focus on the next one.
Well,
and Pete, you had mentioned to me, like before the next round, like, hey, well, this is actually now going to put you in the next round against somebody that you probably will have a chance against, and it was true. Like it ended up going that way.
In a 5-round or 6-round event, when you get into round 3, 4, and 5, it really starts to even out with player levels. So that's why 2-day tournaments are fun, because the further you get into the rounds, the closer you get to skill cap, right? So I knew after you hit, because I knew you were going to hit somebody. I just didn't know if it was going to be round 1 or 2. And when you got Doug, I was like, Doug he gets a little out there. So we'll see how Trevor responds to it.
He's a Texan.
Yeah.
If you're going to play against a Texan, get ready to get
those Texans fight, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh,
yep.
yeah.
Additionally, I had some bad flips along with it, and Maxine just wasn't as practiced for me. So there was a lot, but
did you use the exact same list for every game?
This one was Maxine.
No,
This one was Maxine, but for Anya, yes, I did.
Okay, so Maxine, how many times did you use her?
Once.
After
That was it.
after that, he threw her in the trash.
That was it.
Okay, so yeah, because the reason is I was trying to figure out, I was like, oh yeah, this is actually very good for Anya too or Maxine too, and then I saw that you play Maxine.
I
1.
used her for raid because her models just hold up better and last longer. But I was kicking myself a little bit because I almost feel like if I would have used Anya too, because I'm so practiced with her, I could have done better, which may have been true.
Oh, 100% true. It's literally the same thing that Pete said.
Yeah.
Pete actually picked Molly because he didn't feel comfortable in his skill level with Von Stuck. So you are right.
Probably should have.
Yeah, you are right. That actually is, as far as I can tell you right now, the player is more important than the models in Malifaux.
It is. And that's why. And that's
100%.
why. And that's why when I played Brandon, I was like, you know, I think if I'm going to beat him, I can't try to play a master I'm not as good with. I need to play my best master in this round.
Yeah.
Yep, that probably would have been the right choice for me.
I mean, I don't think
to learn.
I don't think you win that game though, but I think you played better.
Yeah.
Let me.
Yes,
put it
I
this
think
way.
I get a few more points. I get some, I get my schemes, and I lose a lot of models.
Yeah,
But,
and
yeah.
as far as like the practice model thing that I was talking about real quick, Yoko 2, she's at 50% win rate. You wouldn't even think that she is like disgusting at all or anything, right? But the best player in the US right now, Landon, he plays her and crushes people with her, or does like incredibly well. And I 100% attribute that to the player, because like I haven't seen anybody else play Yoko 2. So
yeah, the people I've seen
my
that
recommendation
try to
to you
imitate
is-
that is they don't. It's just they don't have the same cadence and kind of interactions, and Landon plays it the best that I've seen. I've seen other people play it, and I've beaten it with other people, and I'm just kind of like, yeah, I see where it's good, but you got to have the right eye for it too.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's. I just want you to keep that in mind, because I think a lot of people are going to tell you, it's like, yeah, this master's better. It's like, it might be better for those player, but not for you. And whatever you feel more comfortable with is probably going to win you more games.
Yep.
So going into round 3, this was actually the game that I felt the most comfortable in the matchup, because I feel like Molly into Cloak and Dagger versus Tiri, I just feel like if I don't lose models fast enough, I think I just dominate this game.
Really?
Yeah.
Against Tiri?
Yeah, because, I mean, if you think about the matchup with Molly, one, it's Cloak and Daggers, which Molly's really good into, just because you can just activate Krooligans late and steal intel tokens. Trevor has a lot of interactions with that and getting very frustrated. I mean, because Trevor, you've had it where it's like, oh, I can't score the strategy because these Krooligans keep stealing all my stuff.
Yes. Yep.
So, and against Tiri, I knew that most Tiri players like to throw the matron at you quick. And then on top of that, I'm like, okay, there's a lot of armor and shielded, but when I need to, Molly can just evaporate a model because she has irreducible, and I have the fast rider and I have the fast Val, so I felt good with those beaters, kind of trying to stave off the Iron Matron. So I felt really good into this matchup. And I just, even though it's wedge, I just deployed further back in my wedge, and I put the Krooligans on the back. Like, I'm like, you're going to have to go, and I literally had an impassable piece of terrain, and I put the Val on one side and the Rider on the other, and I was like, if your Matron's coming through here, you have to go through these two models. And Jeremy's a really good player. He did he finished 4th right behind me, so, I mean, he's a good player.
Great player.
But he threw the Matron in there, which I was a little surprised at. He kind of started swinging on the valedictorian, and I was kind of like, okay, I mean, this is fine. And I thought he was going to try to catapult back into the Krooligans, but I guess maybe they were a little too far back, so he couldn't quite do that. So anyways, I have activation control, so when the Matron comes in, I still have the Rider and the valedictorian to swing into it. And turn 1, I end up doing like 5 damage after Matron stones and stuff. And then turn 2, I end up getting it down to 1 first activation with the valedictorian. And then he, for some reason, tried to run the construct up to take the hit range, but he didn't have the movement because there was a forest like right in the middle of like in between me and him. And that allowed me to then go ahead and activate Molly. and I just did her irreducible thing and just killed the Iron Matron turn 2, like, second activation. And,
What?
Yep. And then from
No way.
And then from that point, Jeremy wasn't able to score the strategy but once, and that's because I let him. Like, I was just like, yeah, I don't want to put the AP into like stealing all these tokens. I'm going to try to score my schemes instead. So I let him score. I think it was turn 4. He finally scored one of the strats with Cloak and Dagger. And turn 5, it was funny because turn 5, I didn't even interact with the strategy because I didn't want him to be able to interact with me to steal my tokens. Because he only needed 2 tokens turn 5 to get another strat point. So I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to get any. And if you take any, I'm going to take yours. So you can waste your AP on it if you want. And at that point, at the end of the game, all he had was the construct, the stupid camel construct, whatever the light thing is, Tiri, and his little ball. And all I had, I think, was 2 Kruligans, Molly, and Archie, and my totem. So it was pretty grindy. I mean, he ended up killing the rider turn 4. The rider probably lasted a turn longer than it should have. But, I mean, the rider's just good, so getting an extra activation out of it was really clutch in that game. And I forget what the Val died to. Did the Val die? Yeah, it did. It died to something. I can't remember what.
I mean, in general, you feel that he just didn't respect the Kruligans
So
on like turns 1 and 2.
So I think Jeremy, if he was going, so when you play against Molly, if you're going to be aggressive, I feel like the proper play is to be aggressive to kill the Kruligans or be aggressive to try and kill Molly. I think those are the 2 best options.
Okay.
And I don't know if he just didn't quite get the distance or the cards weren't quite there for him. But yeah, he had to like, she was fast, but he had to like walk, I think it was like walk charge. So he only had 1 AP left. And he didn't get quite close enough to the Kruligan. So the Iron Matron did not accomplish whatever mission she was going to do. So I ended up winning this. It could have been, I was going to win it, but it could have been like a 7-6 game, but he was kind of trying to chain, like, he had to chain a bunch of things together. And at one point I just leapt Archie in and I just like, I can't remember if I red jokered, but I killed the Ancient Construct with Archie coming in, and that thwarted his whole plans to score any victory points in the game.
Well, congrats again.
At the end, in the middle of this game, Jeremy is a good player, but in the middle of this game, I was just like, unless you kill these Kruligans, man, you are going to lose this game. Like, I was just sitting here, just bringing them back to Molly, yo-yoing them out, stealing stuff, and he didn't get Archie either, but I kept Archie kind of away out of the action for a bunch because, he had Ket left too. I didn't touch Ket, but I kept Archie out and he never sent anything over to deal with him. So I was able to scheme and get my strategy and deny the strategy over there with the Kruligans. So not pressuring Archie, not pressuring Molly too much, and then not being able to pin down the Kruligans are really what kind of really messed it up for him. He did score in your face, but since the Matron was dead, he couldn't get the second point. He did get deathbeds the first point, but he couldn't score the second point because I play Molly, so I just removed any ski markers near me. And I got take prisoner and hold up. I think the only thing I missed was the strategy last turn I didn't score.
I mean, that's the main reason why I was like, my question was because it feels like he didn't respect the Kruligans enough. I don't know.
He played against Molly, so I think he knows what Kruligans do. I also think I did a decent job of not giving him good opportunity. Like, I think Jeremy to me seems kind of like, I don't want to say a cautious player because he did some aggressive things, but I think if you're going to, like, if you see that I'm playing like the Kruligans smart, like I'm not giving them to you, you need to try and force the issue, I feel like. You know what I'm saying, Dixon?
Yeah, no, I of course. Like, that's the reason why I mentioned it. It's like, if you play against Molly, you have to accept some things, and then you have to immediately respond to, like, Kruligans need to die.
And I ended up getting a 7-3. The best I've seen was actually, and it was a game against Jim where he was playing Tiri, and he threw the Iron Matron into my deployment zone, and he killed 1 Kruligan turn 1, and he almost killed 2 turn 1. So that was probably the best Iron Matron slingshot that I've seen. But because of that, I just put my Kruligan so far back because I'm like, you're going to have to dive. Like, you're going to have to be in the middle of my crew if you want to come into these.
Oh, yeah.
And she did, and she died.
Yeah, I've done that, and sometimes it feels really bad, but it's like if I didn't do that, I would have lost the game harder. So,
yeah.
But, okay, so what about you, Trevor? Because I saw that you went with Anya for the rest of the tournament. So we know it's going to be Anya too, right? But
Yes.
what was the reason that you didn't want to switch the list? Was it just like you didn't have the models, or you just didn't know the matchup?
I'm really good with that list. I love the botanists in that list. I mean, they do a lot of work for me, and really, I didn't feel for all of the pools that I needed to change the list. I mean, even if there was other masters, or I mean, there were masters that did certain things or other models that did certain things, I was just so comfortable with that. And especially after the Maxine game, I was like, that's it. I'm just playing the same list, and I'm going to just keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing what I do best.
Gotcha.
Because I had a lot of success, in the content creators tournament, and I played well with her so far. So I just kept the same list for the rest of the tournament.
Gotcha. I mean, I'm going to also assume that your opponent is related to Jeff Mansker, who is a very good player from Virginia.
Yep, I believe his son. I believe it was his son, younger kid. He played really well.
Jeff's son.
Yep, he played really well. He played Kirai,
Which you've never. Another summoner that you've never seen.
That I've never seen. He summoned a lot of models, but there was a lot of rules that we had to kind of go over. Just I believe newer player as well. He is, and so we had to go over some of that stuff. Even at the very end, we had to kind of go over the fact that he didn't end up getting a certain scheme that he thought that he did. I mean, again, really nice guy, but essentially, I was able to kind of keep him busy with Corvus and Winston and the Intrepid while I was able to go out and do my other stuff. We still scored pretty close, and it just came into the end point there where I ended up winning over him. He didn't really pay attention to where his Yakuna was. And so I ended up scoring the second point of take prisoner with that.
Nice.
Oh.
Yep, she was over the line there. But yeah, I mean, he played really well. Again, I was dealing with more summons, them getting a lot of activations. But overall, that one, I just felt a bit more confident because, again, felt like it was a very similar play level between the two of us. Anya doesn't do extremely well against all of those models that she's got in her list, but I was able to just kind of keep him distracted and busy enough.
What did you think of the totem Akirio with the irreducible damage and onslaught? Did you experience that at all?
Yeah, Akirio. Again, I was able to just kind of I killed Akirio once, and then I think she got summoned back. Is that correct?
She can
get summoned back. Yep. I was able to take her out once, and then she got summoned back.
That's kind of what you want to do with Akirio is you want to force your opponent to keep summoning her, because if she wastes her AP summoning her, you're not getting all the other crap. So I found if you can kill her, that's the best way to deal with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think if I played a little bit differently, I could have taken more of his intel tokens and actually denied some points, because I was more than confident that I was going to get all of my strat. And there was a few activations that I didn't do much that I maybe should have just tried to grab some of his intel tokens. So
yeah, and I think it's interesting that you're like, I just felt like playing the same list. It worked out pretty well. And round 3 is actually what convinced me, where it's like, you want to know what? I'm doing pretty well. Let's just keep slamming this list down.
Let's just keep playing the same master and see where it goes.
Not even the same master, same list, just not even, because everybody was banning like Manos and Seamus, so I was like, all right, well, that doesn't touch my list any.
Man, right. I guess I'm just of a different
breed.
People
have forgotten the valedictorian and what she does, apparently.
Apparently.
Yep.
I mean,
And
don't
no
get me wrong.
bans would have affected me either because I didn't bring any out of
Yeah,
keywords.
you
so
were great.
yeah.
Yeah, that was actually one of the things that I pointed out when we were talking about bans. I said this is strictly better for newer players because newer players want to play in keyword anyway.
Yeah.
So this is it's nothing but better for the community because you want to get more newer players into the games anyway.
Yep.
Yep.
So that was the end of day one. So let's see. I ended up going 3-0, which I felt really good about. And Trevor, I think you went what 1-1-1 or 1-2?
1 and 2.
Not bad. Not bad. Besides the one game against
Yeah.
Doug.
Yeah. It did kind of, that one game against Doug did kind of like
Shook at you.
I guess it just, yeah, it shook me. And I, the end of the day, I definitely was like, okay, that is what it can feel like on a bad
But you got to
day.
win too.
But I got to win at the end, so it kind of evened things out a little bit. And again, just we went out and got some good food.
Yep. Except for you made a
and,
mistake in not seeing that they had scallops. So
Yes, yeah.
Wait, you like scallops?
He
Is
was-
that what it is?
Oh yeah.
yeah, he was so sad because we end up getting back to the hotel and Doug was like, "Oh man, I just love those scallops." And Trevor's like, "There were scallops?" Like,
There were scallops there.
I'm so
We went to a
disappointed now.
seafood place. Yeah, yeah.
They're like sea mushrooms. Is the way that because I used to work as a cook in a seafood restaurant, and that was the first time I ever seen a scallop in my life. Because in Puerto Rico, I don't think I've ever seen them here.
Fair. So
Anyway, but like back to the tournament
Yep.
thing and the night. So that was first day, the second day of you guys being in the convention, correct?
yeah,
Yeah.
How did you guys feel at the end of your second day? Were you still in it for like the third day, or
yeah. I
were you
mean,
like,
I mean,
I just want this to be done?
I felt great because I think the big thing about doing these like convention, like multiple tournaments and stuff, is I think getting out of the hotel is actually pretty important. So like just the fact that each night we actually got an Uber and went somewhere, that really helped alleviate a lot of the like you just feel like you're just on this like constant slog. And we went out, got something to eat, hung out for like about an hour and a half, Ubered back, and then I also brought my pipe, so I was smoking my pipe, here and there, just get outside and get some fresh air. And then on top of that, at the end of the night, we just played like casual games of like Magic. So we played like EDH and stuff. So so that also felt great because it's just like a cool way just to hang out and just kind of put some cards down, drink some beer, or whatever you want to do. So I don't know about you, Trevor, but that kind of helped me just
I
kind of
think
keep
that-
an even keel.
Yeah, I think that helped me a lot too. Just I haven't played Magic in a while, and I bought a bunch of the Lord of the Rings card decks, and I bought all of the Commander decks for that. So I just brought the decks the way that they came, and it was super fun. It was fun to play with everybody.
I actually talked with a bunch of people on the Discord, and I was like, who wants to play Commander while we're there, blah, blah, blah. And some people were like, oh, yeah, I got a deck. And I was like, all right, we're going to be playing pre-cons, so don't bring, broken nonsense.
Hold on, let me find my Prosh pre-con
Yeah.
from like 2012.
And even Jesse, like Jesse hadn't played EDH in a long time, but he brought his old Commander pre-cons. Like I'm talking about, like he had that Edgar Markov like pre-con,
That's where Prosh, Edgar, Prosh was the
which
best
I think
one
they
of the
actually
group.
scale pretty well with these new pre-cons. So
It's like riding a bike.
yeah.
It all came back. The only thing I had to ask questions about were just like Flash and the other abilities on the cards.
Trevor would show me a card. He's like, "Is this a real card? This seems really good."
Oh
Well,
yeah, now cards have like 3 things.
It
on the
wasn't
card.
until our second game or our second night of playing this that I was talking about list building and stuff like that for when I used to play Magic, and Pete explained to me that Commander decks are only one card of each.
Yeah, singleton.
I was like, what? This is no wonder this game is so wild. Like,
Any card throughout history of Magic you can bring unless it's banned.
that's great. Yeah. But yeah, it was a good way to just kind of not think about Malifaux and just enjoy. Yep.
Yeah, so I think that helped out a lot, kind of not feel like a grind. After Sunday, I think we were ready to just kind of go home.
Yes.
But Saturday we were still feeling pretty good. Sunday was actually kind of funny though, because I was actually slated to play Landon, right? Because I was 3-0, he was 3-0, and I think Longton was the only other undefeated. And it was just kind of funny because Sunday morning I had looked it up when I was here in Kansas, and I was like, okay, there seems like there's a 7:00 mass I can go to. Anybody that's not Catholic, you won't understand, but you got the sacraments and stuff that you want to participate in each week when you're Catholic, and that takes priority over like a lot of things. So like pretty much almost anything in my opinion. But so anyways, I started looking and I was like, Jesse, hey man, I checked. Apparently they like combined some churches because up in the Northeast, a lot of those churches are actually like struggling to stay open essentially. So a lot of those churches they had to combine. And so the churches that I could go to, their mass wasn't until like starting till 8:30, and we had a 9:00 start time. So I just told Jesse, I was like, hey, I got to go to church. Like, you can give me a loss or whatever you want to do for the round, and I'll just live with it. And yeah, we'll go from there. So yeah, I ended up going. It was kind of funny because I had to wake up the priest because I went early because I usually go early to like pray a rosary or something. And I woke up the priest and I kind of talked with him what I was doing. And he was like, oh, you traveled all that way and you're still going to mass. Good for you. And I was just like, well, yeah, Father, that's what I'm supposed to do. So like, I feel like there's a lot of casual Catholics that don't do that. But anyways.
Yeah, no, there is.
Cafeteria Catholics, as we call them.
How dare you?
But
anyway.
Dixon feels attacked. But anyways, I ended up taking the loss in that round. It has Molly losing to some crap 4-2. That's just because I had to forfeit it because I couldn't play it because I didn't get back to like 10 something. So yeah, that's what that game was for me. So I was, and people were like, oh, that sucks, but I'm not bummed about it. I mean, church is more important than pushing figures around. So I had a good time. That I just did my thing and I smoked pipe and got some breakfast and I was ready for round 6.
That was what I was gonna point out. I was gonna say like, there was no mass whatsoever earlier than that, and you don't like online masses.
Well, so I'll explain it a little bit just because some people might be confused because there's a lot of denominations that, mass is technically like optional. Like it's not a big thing if you like skip here and there. You can watch it online and you get the message. But the Catholic Church is more ceremonial. Like the sacraments, like taking the actual Eucharist is like a huge deal, right? That's if you actually believe in your faith, that moment you're actually, there with, Jesus Christ actually being there. So, the whole point is you're in that moment with Christ, accepting him. And it's that intense moment where actually on earth you're face to face with Jesus, which is a really beautiful moment. So that's why as a Catholic, actually believing the doctrine, unlike, some people, which is fine. I'm not going to, yick your yum if you don't actually believe certain things. But, I actually do believe that. So I want to be there every week and gain that, spiritual confidence and spiritual, just reinforcement that I need to, battle throughout the entire week. So to me, that's why I was like, it's not even a question.
I think this is a testament to the fact that we can all still get along because I'm an atheist heathen who just believes in meditation and yoga,
and we're hanging out the whole week.
We get along great, so
Well, it's funny, right? Because Dixon, we brought books to hang out and like to read while we're at the airport and stuff. So I end up bringing I think I had my C.S. Lewis collection. And then Trevor's like, oh, cool, I got my philosophical book too. He had like a Sam Harris book.
Sam Harris, The Moral Landscape. It was great. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But anyway,
I don't know how I feel about Sam Harris, but
yeah. But Trevor, you actually played, so why don't you talk about your game?
Sure, yeah. Yep. So this game, I even went into it when I saw what master he was playing, was like, this is going to be my best game. So he played Toll. And I have played Toll recently here because we've got a person in our local meta who does play Toll. So I kind of understood. I knew the artillery markers. I knew with Anya, I can exert control and push people out of the way when I need to. I was really prepared for this one. And the guy that I played Toll really well. I mean, yeah.
And this was this Stuff the Ballots?
Yeah, this was Stuff the Ballots. And so I took my first couple of turns actually stuffing my side, or the side that I deployed off of, So that helped me a lot. In fact, I think that actually did end up helping me because he had to spend extra AP to eventually get one.
And I actually had, when I played against Nathan, he mentioned that. And I'm like, I don't know if people aren't doing this, but I think if you bring like some cheaper models to interact turn 2 and stuff your own ballots up to 3, I try to do that every game because then late game, it forces your opponent to throw at least 4 AP into those markers to score them. So I always try to do that in stuff the ballot games.
Yep. And I got people out pretty far early. I put some heavy pressure on one of his hex bows. I think I went at it. Actually, I think I actually went at it with my Sovereign. And I did some heavy damage, so he had to kind of make the decision, well, I'm either going to lose my Hexbow or I got to activate that next, which put me in a better position. And then same thing, turn 3, I think I ended up killing, who's the one that's on the bike? Louisa?
Oh, Louisa.
Yep, I ended up killing Louisa, who was over in the corner, I think trying to get his power ritual. And I was able to kill her. Pick up that marker the next turn to deny that power ritual. So I feel very good about that game. Yeah, again, I think it was just, knowledge of the other master. I played this before. It was a good map for me. And I was kind of in a new mind state the next day after what had happened the previous day.
Well, and
it's also kind of shocking and surprising that she has multiple abilities that make Tall's best ability not good. Because she can remove scheme markers, if I remember correctly, by like moving models around. Is that, or am I wrong about that?
I don't think she can't
All I know
remove
is that,
them, but
okay, so she can't remove them, but she moves models around. I'm looking at her card right now.
Yep.
And I know that there's another ability that makes it so that enemy scheme markers don't count for pretty much anything.
Correct.
So I'm trying to figure out.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so he could not do the extra action, which is a huge thing for Tall.
Yep.
And you get to push models out of the way, which is a huge thing for the game in general.
Yep.
That's hilarious.
I mean, between that and even the Intrepid being able to intimidating roar and push some of my other models out of the way, I mean, there was a lot that I was able to do to avoid that. And then when he was dropping bombs through his artillery marker, I was able to continue to discard cards and take the hit because they were right near my Intrepid.
Yeah, and I think there is something to be said about, you actually being familiar with a matchup, because when you know generally or in detail what the opposing crew does, that really lets you do a lot of planning where you're not going to get surprised where it's like, oh, I would have won, but they did this thing I didn't know about. So that's definitely good.
Yep.
Shows you the more experience you get, the more successful you'll be in the game.
Yep, and I knew once I got close enough, if I was able to do some actual physical melee attacks to those shooters, that I'd be able to maybe take one or two of them down, which I was able to do. But he still, he was a great guy to play against. Again, just this whole tournament, everybody was really fantastic. I didn't really have anybody that we butted heads on that sort of deal. So
did you end up winning and losing that game?
Yep, I won that game 6-4.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And it did come down to the last few activations. So I was able to do some denial, and I was able to put some stuff down that allowed me to score those last couple of points. So it came down to the wire. But
I see that you guys had completely different schemes on this one. He had Power Ritual and Take Prisoner. You had Ensnare and Information Overload.
Yep.
So a lot of scheme markers for you.
All the time.
And you felt very strong. Yep. Yeah, because make a drudge. That drudge is going to start walking.
Exactly.
And then he'll get there eventually.
Yep. Well, and then with her, with Anya being able to exert control or do new orders, I can get a movement. I can get, essentially, if I needed to do it all 3 times, I could get 6 inches plus their movement, because you can only do new orders once. So every time you move those drudges, the ski marker gets dragged along with them. You can really set people up for ensnare that way. Corvus assisted with the draw out secrets. And then Winston being able to interact right next to somebody. I mean, there's just a lot that works for that pool.
Yeah, and I definitely understand that because going into the last round of the tournament with round 5, I was back at that point. And the way things shook out after that, because I think Landon lost to Longton in round 5. And then I ended up drawing Sam, which Sam's a very good Bayou player. Like, he knows what he's doing. So I ended up playing him into corner plant explosives, which, once again, I feel pretty good about just because I know what Maud does. So I had a feeling I knew what Sam was going to try to do. And it played out exactly like I thought it would. I thought he was going to kind of just slam Maw and the Soulstone Miners as much as he could into my Kruligans and Molly. So once again, same list. I was like, yep, just playing the same thing. And it was in corner, so I literally kept my Kruligans as far as I could in my deployment zone until I needed to move them out. That way the Soulstone Miners couldn't drop down and charge in on them, because Soulstone Miners can't drop within 6 of a deployment zone. So as long as I stayed in there, I'm like, okay, I'll have my Kruligans at least for turn like 2 and 3 because the Miners can't get there. But I ended up killing one of the Bushwhackers that he brought. He's playing Maw 1 because that's the best Maw. He brought Uncle Bog because, of course, Uncle Bog. Double Soulstone Miners, 2 Bushwhackers, and Big Brain Bryn. And really, I'm like, if I can just outlast like Maw coming in and killing me, I think I'll win this. So it ended up playing along. I denied the strategy just because, I'm playing Kruligan, so he didn't get plant turn 2. We go into turn 3, and Maw is positioned where turn 2 she started doing damage onto Molly. And Molly was down. I healed her up a little bit with Sloth. So I was kind of in this provocative situation because I was out of Soul Stones at that point. And Maw ends up going first on turn 3. So I'm sitting there. There's a pit trap already down. Maw ends up going and wants to obviously knock Molly into the pit trap. I think I was down to 5 hit points when Maw Tucket was going. And what ended up happening was he ended up bringing me down to like 2 hit points. And then I end up going down to 1 because of the pit trap. But he had to concentrate, and then he had to swing on Molly again. And Sam told me he had the cards in hand. So, I mean, at this point of the game, I'm thinking, okay, Molly's dead. How do I score my points now? So I was already going into it thinking that, because in my head, Molly was already dead. But when Maw takes the focus swing and then flips, I think, 3 cards for damage, he ends up running into the Black Joker and doing no damage. So, and he didn't get the trigger for Shove Aside, so, he couldn't push me to do the last point of damage. So Molly ends up living. There's a Soulstone Miner engaging Molly, though, so it's still bad, right? So I'm sitting there like, okay, if I heal Sloth, I think the Soulstone Miner can still kill Molly because she's injured. So I was like, I don't think I can do it that way. So I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I still have 2 focus on this Kruligan. I have less cards, so I'm going to pitch for by your side next to Molly, and the Kruligan's going to try to kill the Soulstone Miner. So the Soulstone Miner only had 4 hit points left. So as long as I hit my moderate twice, I was going to kill it. So I use the focus, hit, cheat in, moderate. He can't cheat once again because I have less cards, because Kruligans have that in their text for whatever reason. And then I focus, hit again.
On a stat 5 model.
Yeah, yep. And then I hit again, cheat in the moderate, and the Soulstone Miner dies. And I blocked it off where the other Soulstone Miner couldn't drop in and charge Molly. So Sam's very frustrated at that point, and he just looks at me and he goes, I'm just going to scoop, man. And he just shakes my hand, and he's like, that swung the game so hard. It's like, I think at that point I probably end up winning because I'm in your deployment zone and Molly's dead. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. I probably a 7-5 game, I think, is where it might have ended up just because of the positioning. But everything else was kind of going my way. He just it's like we were playing poker, and he pushed in all of his chips to say, I'm going to kill Molly. And if he kills Molly, I think it pays off. But just flipping the Black Joker there, losing the Soulstone Miner, and I hadn't activated with much, so it's very conceivable that Maw might have died that turn. because I still had Molly, I still had Sloth, I still had a Kruligan. So it's very likely that I probably get close to killing Maw there as well.
Dude, wow.
Yeah. So it was a rage quit. He probably wanted to flip the table and stomp on Molly because she didn't die like she should have. And that's the game of Malifaux, man. Bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I've been there. I played against Molly enough times.
It's funny because I was there 2 years ago. Sam and I played like round 5 or something, or round 4. He played Zip and I played Maw 2. And I ended up rage quitting. So I was like, we're going to finish a game one of these times, Sam. But we actually did in the team tournament the previous year. We actually played and finished a game. But I felt bad for him because I was like, I think he did have a good shot to win if he succeeded there, which he probably should have. But, that's just the game sometimes, right? And that's Bayou. Sometimes Bayou doesn't have the mechanics to get out of bad luck, which is why I haven't gone back to Bayou in a bit.
Yeah, I love Bayou, and I still want to play Bayou, but it does feel bad whenever you're behind.
Hard to Wound's
really
legit, man. I have found myself loving Hard to Wound because, you run into some red jokers, right? But it really keeps you out of, like, consistent damage.
Dude, it makes it so that, like, I flipped a 3, you flipped a 10. Yeah, I'm not going to cheat.
Yeah.
Like, literally, you can just say that, and you'll be like, yeah, it's fine.
And it cancels out focus, so as long as you keep the duel close, they're always going to be at a negative, so it's good. And like I said,
Hard to Wound is great.
You run into red jokers more, but you just learn to live with that, honestly.
Speaking of Hard to Wound.
Manipulative. Oh, sorry. I was just, the last thing I was going to say. Manipulative, complete garbage. Hard to Wound, yay. Please swap out some models that have manipulative with Hard to Wound.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I ended up getting that game 6-3. We just kind of agreed that seemed like a reasonable score. Did you play against rezzers round 5?
Yes, I did.
Trevor?
Speaking of Hard to Wound and manipulative and fun things like that, I played against Maeve round 5. So I got to play against Maeve twice, and she played McMorning.
Nice.
So I got to deal with a third summoning crew, which again was still fun and new for me.
Playing against rezzers into a summoning crew? Like gas.
Oh my gosh.
Shocking.
Honestly,
There were so many. When I walked across that board and saw the situation you were in, Trevor, I saw a lot of flesh constructs, a lot of zombies, and I was just like, this does not look good.
Yeah, I mean, I still got 5 points out of the deal. Like, I still played well. It was 5-8 in the end. But I think I could have had more points, and Maeve even said that I probably would have as well. But I overextended the botanists. It was just a mistake. I overextended the botanists on the first turn after I grew them, because I was trying to get, like, there was a severe here, and then there was a severe a little bit further out, and I should have just kept them in the one that was a little bit closer and worried about moving them next turn. But then one of her Kenturi,
Kentora.
went and
Centaurs.
just freaking stomped it. Because they don't have any armor or anything like that. So I lost a botanist on the first turn, and that was definitely not good for me. And had I just skirted a little bit closer to the center with the rest as well, then because I didn't end up having enough movement to score my espionage before the end of it. And he kept on. He kind of denied, or she kind of denied a few of those. So it was still a really good game. And Maeve and I again play very similarly. Even though there was a lot of models on the board, there was less focus on killing my models as there was actually just getting our points. But Corvus did lock up some of her models, and that was definitely the game to me that made me feel a lot more that Corvus was a model that was worth bringing, because I was able to kill one of them Kenturis and then use that well, not the same turn, but I was able to use his pulled here and there or whatever that is, a knock aside. and push up to another model. So I locked up a few of those models so I could continue to do the things that I needed to do.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel about it, Trevor, but when I get into a 2-day tournament and when in round 5 or even round 4, whatever, when you play against an opponent you're actually kind of more comfortable with, like you've played against them before, you know they're not a jerk. To me, it kind of takes some of the pressure off.
It does.
And you can kind of just enjoy a nice game, right?
Yep, we enjoyed a nice game for the final game of the tournament, and it was really great. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely one of those where I overextended, and that really kind of cost me a couple more points.
You're learning some of those lessons that you need to learn in tournament play, where it's like, you know, sometimes at your local game store you can get away with some sloppy plays or aggressive plays, but when you play against solid people at a tournament, you see when you get punished for decisions, right? You're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, and now I'm getting punished for it.
Well, and I didn't realize the movement. Like all of a sudden they were like freaking 8 movement, and
yeah, they throw the extra legs on them.
Yep, just rolled right through.
Got Lieutenant Dan legs.
Yep.
I mean, the best thing about the idea, because like I'm listening to your explanation of the game, and my head immediately goes like, that means that they were willing to trade an 8-point model or 7-point model for a 6-point botanist, because the botanist is key to winning the game.
Yep.
Yeah,
like, that was, in my opinion, that's worth it, because we talked about it earlier
100%.
with the Molly thing, and sometimes you just have to sacrifice a big piece.
Especially if you get a piece like that early, right? Like, so for me, playing Molly, that's the equivalent of if I lose a Kruligan turn 1 or 2. Like, that's way too early to lose a Kruligan. Like, I can lose a Kruligan even turn 3, and, you know, I don't love it, but, you know, if it scores me a point here and there, you know, along the way, that's fine. But losing a piece like a Scheme Runner like that turn 1 or 2, like, kills the game.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the main reason why I have used Lucius to go in, kill a Kruligan. Like, if I'm playing Guild Lucius and I see that you don't have enough beaters nearby of the Kruligan, I will jump, try to kill the Kruligan in one action, and either try to escape or just get ready for what's coming.
Yeah.
Because it's a gamble that might win you the game on the spot.
Yeah, and, I mean, you ended up, I think, what was it, 8-5 for you, Trevor?
8-5. Yep. So I still got a decent amount of points. But
so you didn't get stomped again by a player like Doug. You kept
No,
all
I
of them pretty decent.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I did see, though, because I was like, okay, so you got a bunch of people got 2 to 3. What was the difference between you and them? And what is MOV? Because he's at -8.
Margin of
I'm trying to
victory.
figure out what that is.
So the first tiebreaker is
differential?
margin of, the differential. So how many points you score versus your opponents.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So how do you feel about that? It's just because that seems like the game against Doug hurt you the most.
Yeah.
Yep. I went 2 and 3, but that game against Doug in only getting 1 point, and that is the first time in a long time I have been held to 1 point. I mean, even when I play Pete here locally, I haven't been held to 1 point in a while. So
Yeah, because if your differential is closer, I mean, you can score anywhere up to 20th, 19th place in this. So, you actually,
Yep.
I mean,
I would have been a little
just
bit further
25th.
up the list. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, just because of the differential out of 33 players, which is nice.
Yep.
So the top 8 that finished for the tournament, we had Longton with his Zoraida Angel Eyes nonsense going 5-0 with Neverborn. Landon finished second with 10 Thunders, 4-1. I ended up finishing third with Rezzers, 4-1. Jeremy with Explorers was fourth. Oracle Toronto, I guess.
Oracle was playing. He's
playing
the guy that I
Outcast.
played Molly against. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was playing Outcast, though. We have Guild in 6th with Nathan. We have Miscellaneous with Arcanist in 7th. And then Austin finished 8th with, once again, Neverborn. And we do have a Bayou player, Sam, finishing 10th. So I feel like it's actually a pretty good spread of what finished in like the top 8, top 10 of this tournament. And
He's saying that Oracle played Outcast.
yeah, I think he played Outcast Rezzers, so I think it was Outcast, but then played Jackdaw. Maybe I'm gonna check real quick.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was playing Outcast for real. Yeah, you're right. I just verified it. That's weird.
Yeah, so
3-1-1 though.
Yeah,
Yep.
so attended. I'm just gonna look it up real quick.
And I ended up
Nathan
25th
Boyle.
out of 33, which honestly, for my first large tournament like this, I mean, at least I didn't get the wooden spoon, you know.
That's
Oh,
true.
No. You
Yeah.
you did great for somebody that only been playing for like 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this is not an easy. This game requires experience, not only skill but experience.
Yeah, I mean, and you're
like,
you're playing
my-
against some people who have been playing since second or even first edition Malifaux. So I mean, you're playing against experienced players in a lot of cases. So just kind of playing that well, honestly, is pretty good. Almost going 500.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why if you wanted to play competitive, I really recommend practicing by yourself sometimes if necessary with Vassal because it's the quickest way to get better at this
Yep.
game.
I mean, that double botanist grow unpack was a vassal result. I mean, I practiced that over and over again. So
I feel
That's great.
looking at kind of just the top, whatever of this, top 15 or so, Explorers finished pretty good. I'm seeing a lot of Explorers kind of, sprinkled in the top half of this event.
There's only one in the top 8, and the majority of the top 8 is actually Neverborn and Rezzers.
Yeah.
But yeah, across the entirety of the game, Explorers were winning at the mid tables, hard.
Also, I thought
I'm looking at the scores and
I thought it was kind of funny. I actually had the higher strength of schedule in this tournament, and all of the people I actually played finished in the top 11th. So I was like, oh, well, that's kudos for Molly, for doing so well against, the top half of the tournament.
yeah.
yep.
I mean, I was gonna ask, did you get a chance to talk to the guy that you were supposed to play on round 4?
I did, because Landon was he tried to give me some kind of cheeky, religious joke remark, and I was just like, yep, most important thing all week. And then he didn't say much after that. So, but I think it would have been a tough game because I'm pretty he did drop Asami, so I think that was his Asami drop. And Asami does have a good matchup against Molly, so I would have had to play that very cautiously. And I actually think I would have played a different list. I think I switch out the Val in that situation and bring St. Vincent to kill summons.
Who are you talking about? Your round 4 opponent was Matt Doucette.
That's the round.
what I'm
That's the
talking
round
about.
I didn't have to play because I wasn't there.
That's my point.
I would have played.
So
I would have.
was asking.
I would have
my-
played
my-
Landon.
He would have played Landon. Yeah.
Yeah.
What? Why did they put Matt Doucette against you then?
Because
makes no sense.
that player dropped because they had food poisoning or something. So they didn't want to.
Sucks.
They thought it wouldn't have been fair to the field
Don't eat the
if they
chicken
gave
tenders.
Landon yeah. If you just got Landon a straight 8-0 victory.
Okay.
Jesse just didn't think that'd be fair to the rest of the field. And
4-2, by the way, not 8-0. 4-2.
yeah, whatever the thing is, but that was the reason why they wanted, actually to be okay, let's have, Landon and whoever pair off, and then we'll see what the last round shakes out to be. So it would have been against Landon,
Gotcha.
but that got changed just for fairness, I think.
Okay. That makes sense then because looking at the numbers, I was like, wait, Riva versus Pete, and I'm looking at Matt, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen here? But that being said, you feel that Landon's Asami, you could have been able to handle that?
Yeah, but I
with
would have
Vincent.
I would have had to bring St. Vincent just to kill off summons, and even then,
That's what I'm asking.
I don't know how that works out because obviously you got to play the game, and Landon's really good and he knows matchups. So I would I'd be interested to see how it would have worked out. I would have liked to play it, but maybe next time.
I would have liked that if we had a little bit more practice with Vincent because the few games that we did play with Vincent, he just never got to actually do his thing.
Yeah, and that's why I determined I think I only bring him against summoners because then each shot kills a summon model.
You did. Every game that we played with Vincent, you played against a summoner.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, you did. Like
I think
Pandora 2.
Yeah, but
What?
you didn't really. I think that game you didn't. I'm talking about like a straight summoner, not just like Pandora's annoying summon. So I'm talking about like Dreamer. I'm talking about like Asami, Dashel one, whatever.
Gotcha.
Against something like Pandora, I don't think I bring it because it's just like, oh, if they get like a this is nice summon, I don't think Vincent's actually worth it in those cases. So.
Okay. I forgot who it was because I played other games against you with Vincent where you're like, okay, I think I did play Asami against you.
Not with Vincent.
The point is that Vincent didn't you felt that Vincent wasn't doing his job.
That's what I'm saying. I was just straight up like, okay, he is just like if it's a pure summoner, he's good. If it's just like I might get a model, he's not so good there.
Gotcha.
But I ended up going
Overall,
5-1, so I mean I was definitely very happy with going 4-0 with Molly.
Well, okay. And then Trevor, you said overall.
Yep, going 2-3 overall, which I still feel really good about. And the people that I did lose to were good players, so I'm still happy with how everything turned out.
Yeah, I feel like you paid for your education there. You got a lot of good experience off that event.
Yeah, Maeve was my playing partner for a while when I got into N3E. We played probably for a year before I started playing with Pete, and she had to, I don't know if it was she had to move or something, but she stopped playing for a little bit.
I think started going to school or something.
Yeah, and then after that, a few months later, I started playing against Pete, and then you know how that goes until now.
The rest is history.
The rest is history. Doug is a really, really good aggressive player, so I'm sorry you had to go through that in the middle of a tournament.
I think it's actually a good thing that I did have that happen at least once this tournament, because had that not happened, I don't know. You learn from these things. It taught me about either playing that same master that you're more comfortable with. Don't unpack don't eject Beeb out of the Calypso. Just don't do it.
No.
But
Trevor.
yeah.
Holy crap! This is a whatchamacallit, whenever something happens that has happened before. Deja vu. This is a deja vu. Pete said the exact same thing 2 years ago.
What?
The exact same thing. Same thing happened to him. He played, I think it was summer or something, in one of the tournaments way back in the day. And he was like, nope, I'm going to solo the same master that I know and love, Ma. And that was the end of it.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you remember that, Pete?
Yeah, that was a local tournament in South Carolina. I was playing... And it's kind of, it was kind of an important moment for me because I've actually changed the way I play tournaments a lot now. Is I was like, I'm going to play, Somer this round, and I'll play, Somer 2 that round, and then I'll play... whatever this round. And then I got completely smashed by Cody Hyatt. Like, he just totally destroyed me with some, Maxine Jedza nonsense. And I was just like, at that moment, I was like, okay, if I actually want to play against, like, the best players, I need to drop, my best thing, and I need to get reps with that best thing. And I've actually done that where it's like, okay, in Arcanist, I'm just slamming down Sandeep, maybe some Colette. And then, like, in this tournament, I was like, I have Von Stuck and Jan Lo, which are fine, but Molly's what I'm slamming down most of the time. So I've just, like, this last 3 months, I've probably gotten in. It feels like over 100 games of Molly.
Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten incredibly good at defending against Molly.
Yeah.
Which is shocking because I hate playing against Molly.
Yeah, I definitely feel
I know
that I
there's
will
a couple
be
other
more...
Rezzer players.
What was that?
I definitely
Trevor?
feel I'll be more of a one trick player, a single master player. I mean, maybe until I get more comfortable, but it felt better to me doing that. Yeah.
I mean, it is uncommon. Like, there are players that only play one thing. I think the most famous one has been John, who plays Monk, and that's it. I think he recently started playing other stuff. I don't know if you know anything about that, Pete.
Who's that?
But John Goldburn,
Oh.
if you ever hear that name.
Yeah, he plays.
He plays only Monk.
Yeah, he plays Shenlong, but he does play McCabe a little bit too.
Okay, but yeah, in tournaments, the only thing that I've ever seen him play is
He's played McCabe.
Shenlong.
He's played McCabe a bit. Like I think in a bigger tournament, he'll usually play McCabe.
Gotcha. And the other thing I was gonna say is, isn't he also the one that's famously for never making an attack and still placing like above mid?
Yeah, there was one tournament where he didn't do a single point of damage. So yeah, that was kind of funny.
And he went something like 2-1 or 2-2.
They ended up
something
doing.
like
He ended up doing pretty good. That was the game where Chris Leopard discovered that you don't need to do damage in Malifaux, and that not everybody is going to come fight you.
I remember he won that tournament too, which is funny.
So I will say though, the last bit of advice I'll give to newer players or people just playing in events is Sunday. I was so drained, like I was like, yep, just get me home somehow. And we didn't fly out till Monday morning. So I always recommend to people going to these events, if you can get there a day before and then leave the day after, that's the best way to do these events, because you just it takes off a lot of the stress of getting to the airport, and you're tired, you don't want to wait in line and run through things, because literally we just got some sweet hibachi food, which was amazing, and then I just demoed a game of Guild Ball to a few dudes, and we got some Irish coffees because of Trevor, so that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to give me a demo on Guild Ball. I said it before the podcast, and I say it again. I do love the game. I may be angry at Steamforge, but if I get to play against you guys, I'm fine.
Yeah,
that
the
was
best
a great
thing
relaxing
that
end to the tournament for sure.
The best thing I heard was from Zach up in Michigan, and he was just like, I love Guild Ball more than I hate Steamforge, so that's kind of the motto right now.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to follow that model. Thank you, Zach.
Trevor, any last minute thoughts on the tournament or the convention in as a whole? Any advice for new players?
Advice for new players, definitely don't beat yourself up too hard. Still beat yourself up a little bit. But find that Zen place or whatever you need to before the next game. And just do your best and forget the rest kind of deal, because I knew going into this there was going to be a lot of really good players, so no matter where I placed, I didn't want to have any expectations. I thought playing
I think you came into it healthy with like a growth mindset, which was nice.
Yeah. Yep. This was about learning what it felt like to be in a tournament, what the pressure felt like to be in a tournament. I think doing that Content Creators Invitational first was really good, and then doing the local tournament previous to that was really good for me as well, even if it was playing against local players. I would say what I did leading up to the tournament the week before, where I just stopped researching cards and worrying about everything, was probably the best thing for me.
Yeah, because you really can't control the matchups and the masters, and I think once you settled into a list, I think that was a really smart move on your part, just to be like, I'm just going to play, this list. It's working well. Why fix it?
That actually is the Bill Anderson special.
Yeah.
He always advocated for learn your crew better than your opponent knows their crew.
Yep.
Yeah, and
always.
And that was great with Molly. Like I said, after the game against Thierry, I was just like, I'm just going to slam down this Molly list. I'm not even going to think about it. I'm not going to put any, thought power into it. This list is solid enough to deal with most things.
Oh, also, don't be afraid to go into a tournament thinking that people might be standoffish or anything like that either. I didn't experience any of that. I'm not saying that there aren't those one-off players out there that may be like that, but I had a really good experience with everybody there.
Yeah, I think
Content incredibly good just for the social gathering, because you get to meet other people that have the same hobby as you.
It took the stress off of
and
it.
Even if you do poorly, after the tournament or after the day's event, you go out,
yes,
and then everything just
Also,
calms. Like it's just relaxed.
I have found, because, I obviously do a podcast and stuff, but in real life, I can, I'm an introvert in real life, right? Like I like just kind of hanging out and doing my thing. So sometimes it's tough for me to like turn it on and be like, oh, Mr. Podcast. But that's why you bring a chatty friend like Trevor, because Trevor can like talk to the wall if you really want him to. Like we were at a hibachi and Trevor starts talking to these ladies and the old lady across, and it makes for a fun time. So if you have a chatty friend you can go to these events with, it helps take some of the pressure off of you to kind of be on all the time, which is nice for me because I don't like being on all the time.
Yep, I'm an extrovert, and there's the reason why I'm in the profession that I'm in. So,
yeah, that's why I brought Dixon to Houston, because Dixon did the same thing there.
Yep,
I could be like, Dixon, go hand all these stickers out. I don't feel like doing that.
Yep, I can talk to anybody, and it was really great. I've made connections with people that I'm going to see at future tournaments because I do plan on doing this again, and it was great to make those connections and meet people from the community overall, from all over the country and even outside of it.
Meeting Discord people in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're going to wrap it up there. I think we did a good job of generally kind of sharing our experiences from the weekend. Hopefully people got some of the fun stories and got some ideas if you're a newer player or if you're, a good player just trying to fight your way through the ranks. So I think until next time, make sure that you guys are flipping cards and flipping tables, and we will see you all later.